Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Therapy Room. I'm your host, Shea Myrick. Today, joining me, I have the honor to sit with therapist Paula Witcher. Hi, Paula. Welcome to the Therapy Room.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Paula, I always ask all my therapists that come in, why did you become a therapist?
To solve our own issues. Well, one of the biggest reasons why I chose to become a child therapist, because I'm deeply passionate about working and supporting mental health and the well-being of children
Mhm.
and adolescents. My commitment to this work became even stronger after witnessing the profound impact that bullying had on my granddaughter's mental health.
Wow.
Seeing her struggle made me realize how deeply experiences like bullying it has an effect on a child's sense of self-worth,
Yeah.
their emotional stability, as well as their ability to thrive both socially and academically.
Hmm.
With that personal experience, it also opened my eyes to a broader issue within the African American community regarding mental health. Many children and adolescents and even adults suffer in silence because of seeking mental health services is often surrounded by stigma,
Mm.
misconceptions, or even cultural beliefs that discourages discussing personal struggles outside of the family.
Yeah.
There was that old saying, what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Yes.
And as a result of that, because everything that was going inside the house, they weren't able to talk about it.
Mm.
It affected them and it carried with them all throughout their adulthood.
Mhm.
So, additionally, financial barriers was also, and with limited access to the cultural competent care, made it even harder for
Mhm.
families to get the help that they needed.
Mhm.
One of the critical issues I have observed is how significantly um, anxiety affects children and families,
Mhm.
especially within the African American households.
Mhm.
Anxiety often manifests as irritability, withdrawal, physical complaints, or behavioral challenges, yet it frequently goes unrecognized, untreated, or misinterpreted as defiance or a lack of discipline, which
Mhm.
is always not the case.
Right.
There's a prevailing notion in some communities that children simply need to be strong or tough it out,
Mhm.
which can lead to anxiety being minimized or even dismissed altogether. But over time, untreated anxiety profoundly affected the emotional health, their academic performance, their relationships, and their overall life satisfaction. This awareness fueled my dedication to breaking down those barriers and advocating for cultural responsive mental health services. That's why I'm committed to helping families understand that seeking support is a sign of strength, not weakness. And my goal is to create a safe space where children and adolescents can feel heard and valued, not and empowered to work through their challenges. I believe that every child deserves access to compassionate, effective care that with respect and honors their cultural identity and lived experiences.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. How's your grandchild now?
She is thriving.
Good,
We
good.
pulled her out of the school that she was in. She was Miss Freshman. She
Mhm.
was Miss Juneteenth Delaware 2023.
Okay.
So, and
Oh.
then when she got to that school, because, she's going to an inner city school where,
Mhm.
you got what you got
Yeah,
at
yeah.
that school. And and some of those kids, they didn't have family support
Mhm.
or put them in, expose them in a positive way.
Right.
Because look, we're seeking, this is Delaware, there's more to Delaware. There's more to Wilmington than just
Absolutely.
this right here. So exposing her to different elements and different cultures, different types of background. But now she's in a private school. At one time she didn't want to go to school. Now we gotta keep it she wanna stay in school like 9 o'clock at night. It's like so. It's like night and day. So thank you for
Yeah,
asking.
absolutely. That's good. I'm glad that she's thriving. I'm really glad
Yes.
she's thriving. That's awesome.
Mhm.
So, Paula, I know that you do work surrounding neurodivergent. And neurodivergent is like a word that's being used a lot more often that I don't think people really understand or
Hmm.
know exactly what it is. Could you define for our listeners what neurodivergent is?
Well, let's see. Neurodivergent, from my understanding, basically is used to describe individuals whose brain function processes or develops in ways that are different from what is considered typical
Hmm.
or neurotypical. It includes differences in thinking, learning, attention, sensory processing, and social interaction and behavior.
Hmm.
Is also not inherently negative. It simply reflects natural variations in how human brains work. Some of these examples of neurodivergent conditions includes autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, dyslexia,
Hmm.
dyspraxia, Tourette syndrome, certain learning disabilities,
Hmm.
intellectual disabilities, and some mental health conditions depending on the content.
Okay.
So the concept of neurodiversity promotes the ideal that neurodivergent individuals are not disordered or broken, but bring value perspectives, talents, and ways of experiencing the world. It
Hmm.
emphasizes acceptance, inclusion, and respect for their neurological differences.
Okay, thank you. So, could you speak on how CCD, how we work with autistic children and those that have sensory challenges, and how we're able to, how therapy helps them thrive and help them meet their needs? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. CCD works with autistic children and those with sensory challenges. Is how therapy is adapted to meet their needs.
Hmm.
At CCD, where everybody is passionate about helping neurodivergent kids thrive, especially those who are autistic or having sensory processing challenges.
Hmm.
We know that those children often experience the world in ways that can feel overwhelming or confusing. So it's important to meet them where they are. CCD begins with a compassionate assessment that truly understands each child's unique sensory profile, their communication style, as well as their emotional needs.
Hmm.
We recognize that some children may experience heightened sensitivity to loud noises, bright lights, or even certain textures, which can be challenging for them.
Yeah.
On the other hand, some children thrive on movements or the comforting embrace of deep pressures, helping them to feel more at ease by taking time to understand those individual nuances. We can provide the tailored support each child needs to flourish in a nurturing and understanding environment.
Hmm.
So, based on that, what do we learn? We created personalized therapy plans.
Hmm.
We might use sensory friendly space with swings, weight blankets, soft lighting,
Hmm.
common music.
Hmm.
Therapy often includes play based activities, which is great for helping kids practice social skills, managing emotions, and build communications in a way that feels safe and fun for them. CCD also believes that helping neurodivergent kids thrive means supporting their family and their teachers. So we
Hmm.
spend time coaching um, parents on how to handle sensory overload at home,
Yeah.
how to build calming routines, or how to advocate for their child's needs at school. Our dedicated team operates in harmonious collaboration where speech, occupational, and behavior therapists, they all come together, pull in their insights to innovative strategies. This synergy ensures that the support we provide is not only consistent, but also tailored to be as effective as possible.
Hmm.
We emerge as regular check ins, continuously assessing and fine tuning our approaches, allowing us to adapt fully to the evolving needs of each child as they grow and they transform.
Hmm.
Basically, so overall, it's to help neurodivergent kids feel understood, and accept it while giving them tools to navigate the world more comfortably and then most importantly, more confidently. We
Mhm.
believe that with the right support, these kids can shine in their own unique ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the some of the other support systems that you mentioned, we do the therapy piece of that, and but we will work as a team, like as a wraparound, right? If that child needs to have occupational or speech therapy and those matters. And all of that takes is just a release of information where that will connect the therapist and the occupational therapist, the speech therapist together to be able to support that child in a better way. So I just wanted
Exactly.
to, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that people got a clear understanding of the services that we do offer at CCD and how we also work with other disciplines to make sure that that child has that wraparound care that is needed. Yeah, yeah.
Especially with the school base too, because we're also
Right,
within the schools too. So working side by side with the school is also just an added layer of
right.
services that we give.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I'm thank you for giving that definition, but also, the breakdown of the services and how why it's important that you should get your child into therapy if you are experiencing some of these symptoms. Sometimes you hear the word neurodivergent and you think the worst, or you think that it's just being on the spectrum. But like you
Hmm.
said, it's a breakdown of ADHD and all
Hmm.
other, a lot of other things. So thank you for that. Is there anything, what would you say to a parent is saying like, I don't know, maybe this is their first time coming to therapy and they're a little nervous about starting something like this with their child. What would you say to that parent? Why is it important?
To give them an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first thing you want to do is to make sure that the parents is comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
When the parents is comfortable, then the child can be comfortable as
Right.
well.
Right.
So you want to establish, gain their confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You can explain the different aspects and the avenues, maybe to share some of the treatment plans with them so they can have some insight with what's going on as well. Because after all, they are children and their parents should have some insight as well. And then whatever activities you may be planning with them in therapy, their parent can also use some of those activities with them at home. So which is always ongoing therapy with them, whether they're in treatment or
Mm-hmm.
they're out of treatment. And then also by the parents being more interactive in it, now they're getting a better understanding. Now they're like, okay, I understand why this is needed. Because without that, they'd be like
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And parents, it's so their participation is so needed and it's so important. And like you said, you're working with the child, but you're also coaching a parent on how to deal with some of these issues at home so they're not feeling helpless or overwhelmed with their child. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Thank you so much, Paula. If people are looking to get services and they want to reach out to you, how would they reach out to you?
They can reach out for the Center for Child Development. They can ask for Miss Paula.
Mm-hmm.
My email is Paula at the Center for Childdevelopment.com. It's such a long email.
Paula at the Center for
Center
Child
for
Development.com.
childdevelopment.com.
Yes, yes. Or you
Yes,
can simply go to ccddelaware.com,
exactly.
ccddelaware.com, and go to our website. And you'll see Paula and you'll see other therapists on there as well. And you can read a little bit about their expertise and, what they, how they work with children, what their specialty is. Just visit the website. It's easy as that.
It's that easy.
That easy. All right, Paula, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for speaking to our audience today. And is there any last minute words you have?
No, my only words is just love on your kids, regardless of, kids can be challenging in their own ways.
Mhm.
But regardless, just know that there are services out there for
Mm,
them. You're not in it by yourself.
yes,
You have support,
absolutely. Absolutely. And don't feel embarrassed to reach out.
especially.
Yeah, don't feel embarrassed. So,
Yep.
well, thank you, Paula, for your time today. I appreciate you. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Therapy Room. Until next week, have a blessed day.
Bye.